Hi, this is Pastor Barrett Berry of TheElm, the Empower Living Ministries. We want to thank you for joining us for the launch of our new conversation series called Charlotte Conversations, where we discuss those topics and issues that are most relevant to your life. We want you to live an empowered life. Today, we're joined by Dr. Rock. Yes, Dr. Rock. She's the behaviorist, she calls herself. She is though. She has a plethora of background. I mean, it's just too many to name itself. I'm going to give you a little bit about the book that she wrote. It's called How to Train Your Parents, A Parent's Guide to Managing Child Behavior. But we're going to talk today about how to understand behavior as a parent. Let me see the book again. This is the book right here. Grab this book. You can get it on Amazon. And then she has another one entitled Don't Call Me a Superwoman, an explanation of divine intervention, alignment, and self-love. So that's a good book too. 2 books. She's a best-selling author. Really excited about it. Go to Amazon and get that. But let's jump into it. Who are you?
Ooh, that's a good question.
Yes.
I am Dr. Radhia Afif, of course. You just told everyone that. I'm an author, I'm a speaker, a dancer, a poet, a fashionista. So really just a lot of different things that I do, that I'm involved in. But when I speak about parenting and I talk about parenting I just really light up when I have this conversation, because I feel like a lot of us have been raised in certain households where our parents were doing the best that they could, right? Doing what they could based on what they knew. A lot of generational behavior patterns and things like that, but it wasn't the best. So I hear a lot of people say, oh, well, I turned out all right. My parent did this, but I turned out all right. But did you? Some people are still going through trauma that they suffer as children, not trying to put so much blame on the parent, because sometimes they just did the best with what they had. But some of us are still struggling with things as an adult, as confidence, self-esteem, our personal relationships with people may be affected by how we were raised and the things that our parents kind of put in our heads, things they said to us, how they engaged with us. So my focus is really to step away from that traditional, what I call it, parenting that we may have experienced, and looking at our children from a human to human standpoint. Children are humans too. They have ideas, they have thoughts, they have feelings. So trying to engage with them in that way. How many of us have heard stay in a child's place? Yep. Be seen and not heard. Okay, I'll give you something to cry for.
I've heard that a lot.
We've heard a lot of these things growing up, but it basically puts the idea in a child's mind that you don't have a voice. What I say goes, because I'm the adult, I'm the authority. And a lot of times when you grow up, you become a teenager, you become a young adult, older adult, whatever the case may be, you may feel as though you don't have a voice. You can't speak up in certain ways. You don't know how to stand up for yourself. So just thinking of the way that we are training or shaping our children and how that impacts us moving forward, like growing up, and then how that contributes to the cycle of behavior. So saying all that to say, my business is the Behavioral Wealth Project. And the reason that I named it the Behavioral Wealth Project is because I want people to look at their behavior, understand it, be able to change it, and have wealth and abundance in those positive behaviors so that we can continue to create healthy cycles within the family system and the community and things like that.
Oh, amazing. I grew up as a single child. So I'm from a single parent. I was the only child, single parent. And they tell you that's a unique experience. And you come out a particular way. Mm-hmm. How would one address being an only child and being a single parent? Is there a unique way to address understanding that I'm spoiled? So how do you...
Let me think on that. So are you speaking specifically to being spoiled?
No, I'm speaking like, what advice or what have you experienced by trying to understand the behaviors of a child who probably has been raised in a single parent household? Not just only child, but children in general.
So basically, if we go to the textbook definition of behavior and things like that, I'll kind of get into a little bit of that. there are 4 functions of behavior. So every behavior has a why. Why is it happening? So the first one is escape. So people may engage in a certain behavior to escape something, right? So you go into a classroom, a child might be, I don't know, talking or tapping or making some big disruption so they can get kicked out of class because maybe they don't like math class, right? It's their way of escaping. So that's the first thing. Another one is getting attention. So you have kids that go to their parents, mom, 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 dad, dad, keep calling name things like that. That's to get attention. Another one is just sensory input. You don't really need another person for that, but if I'm like biting my nails or tapping, I'm getting a certain sensory input for that. And then the last one is just getting access to tangibles. So a child might have a tantrum in the store if they want some candy or chips or things like that. So I think that if we understand that basic concept of every behavior has a why, it's not just random. There's a purpose behind behavior, and we really tap into that, then we can understand, okay, why is this person doing a specific thing? That works in parenting, but that also just works in life in general, because it's all about development.
Good. Now, does either of your books address those 4 areas?
Yes. The book, How to Train Your Parents, talks about the foundation of behavior, how behavior is learned, and how you reinforce it, how you punish it, and things like that. And we talk about punishment. Of course, we're not talking about spankings or anything. I'm a mandated reporter, so, if anybody says anything, I have to call the people on you. But, yes, it does address that, and it also gives you some interventions inside of the book if you are dealing with some challenging behavior from your child. But I think the most important thing is to observe and be in tune with your child and really understand what's going on. It's quick to just react to behavior and things that are going on, but if you actually take a step back to think about, okay, why is this happening? How is the environment contributing to the behavior? How am I contributing to the behavior as a parent? Like, what's going on? Is it too high? Is it too cold? Is it too loud? Is somebody coming into the room that my child doesn't really mesh with so well? So kind of just looking at all the environmental factors and things like that as well.
Very good. Now, what's the alternative to spanking? You say nowadays you can't, I don't think you can spank anyone. I was whooped. I mean, I had switches. I had the same story that a lot of us had, where your mom and my grandmother would send you out to the backyard to select your switch. I went through that torment.
I've heard this story.
Yes. I had that torment. I had the torment of grabbing the small one by mistake. I didn't know it was a mistake at the time. I found out it was a mistake. She would have got her branch and brought it back. So what's the alternative to that? I mean, black folks still spank. We still do it, but what's the alternative to spanking? That works.
Right. So I believe that a lot of people think when you spank, your child is just going to magically be better after the spanking, right? So sometimes the spanking does traumatize a child where they're like, oh, I'm never doing that again. And sometimes they just get smarter and learn how to do the thing in a different way. But it's not teaching anything new. So when you are trying to change behavior, you want to always have something to replace the behavior with. So instead of spanking, you want to have the conversation about the behavior, why it's not allowed, or why you're upset that your child engaged in that certain behavior, and then you want to teach them something new to replace that. Because if you're not teaching, you're just saying, don't do that, and then they're like, okay, don't do that, but what should I do? And you're kind of just leaving them on their own. So if you're giving them something as a replacement, then you can start to teach them, okay, you can't do this, but you can do this. And then start to praise it and really encourage them, give them that positive reinforcement when they're doing the right thing. It's so easy to just focus on the wrong thing. It's so easy to point that out, but when your child is doing something good, you don't always focus on it because it's like, okay, you're supposed to do that. You did something good. Nice. But the bad thing always gets pointed out.
Always. Say I'm a single mom, I have 4 kids, right? And I want each of them to excel, but they all have these different personalities. What does science say about addressing or pushing forth those variety of personalities?
So again, that's going to go back to being in tune with the kids, of course, observing, seeing what each of those personalities are. You might even have to go to the extreme of like taking some notes on your children. So keeping a journal, writing things down. Okay, this worked. when I said this or did this with this child, this didn't work. This is what this child likes. This is what this child needs. And writing down what each child needs, or some of their triggers or stressors, or, things that they're really reinforced by. So writing those things down first, and then also just having some one-on-one time when you can. So maybe giving an activity for the other 3 kids and spending time with that one child, because it's important to have that one-on-one as well to, just have conversations, communicate, and build that relationship.
No, I don't know if you answered this one or not, but say I'm a parent and I've been disconnected from my children for a number of years, right? I love them. They probably love me, but I don't really know. But how can we restore that relationship? Is there a way, a methodology, and bring that back to fruition again, or a positive relationship again?
As far as textbook, I'm not sure of the methodology, but what I can provide as a solution, I would definitely say, depending on the age of the children, having that conversation, like being open and honest of the elephant in the room is like, okay, I've been away for a while, explaining it, that's age appropriate for the children again, and opening the floor for the children to also have that conversation and say how they feel about it, or how they would want to move forward and all of that. It's really going to take patience. So being patient, not a parent coming in from being away for years and like, okay, I'm going to take you now. We're just going to be this happy family. That might be too much pressure for the children, especially when the parent has been away for a while. So being patient, kind of just doing small things, building that relationship. All right, let's play this game together. Let's sit and have this conversation. Let's go and get something to eat maybe. Just something small where you can start to build the relationship, build that trust, and then you can go to, maybe more things later on, like, okay, let's date at night, or, let's go on vacation together. I don't know, whatever it is, but kind of starting small at the ground level, because you really have to start from scratch at that point. But keeping the communication open, because those feelings are going to come up, maybe some abandonment and, mistrust and things like that.
Yeah, makes sense. Now, I'm going to give you a chance in a few just to talk about whatever you want to talk about, but I have another question. I'm really curious about this. Today's families aren't mom, dad, and 2 kids and a dog and picket fence. So we're very diverse in our makeup of our families, right?
Yes.
So, I have 2 questions, but this one. So how do we understand the kids in these blended families? Is there a secret to understanding the kids in these blended families and how to deal with it, how to raise them, how to survive them, how not to go to jail when you want to whoop on your son? Go ahead. I added that. That's mine.
I feel like everything that I've talked about so far, it works. Whether the family is a blended family, single parent, mom or dad, when we really just strip everything down to the foundation of what behavior is, we talk about those functions. We talked a little bit about how behavior is learned and maintained, and just being able to observe and kind of take notes in a sense on your child. So I think it's really the same across the board. The only thing that's going to change, of course, is the environment, but you want to factor that in when you're doing your observations and just kind of seeing why certain things are happening with the child.
Okay. You may have already answered this, but in case he listens to this, I have a friend, right? And he's divorced, and each of them have a child. Her child was from a different relationship, and they have a child together. They're just a few years apart. To help the kids out, they believe that they should, of their divorce, stay together in the same place. How do you see that? Is that a trigger for something down the road for the kids? Is that help me understand how to deal with that? If there is a way to deal with that.
It would really depend on their relationship. Mm-hmm. So if they have a really good relationship with co-parenting, they're on the same page, same styles of parenting and things like that, it could work. But being honest and open with the children, letting them know, hey, we're not together, but we're here for you, whatever the layout of the family is going to be. However, if they don't have a good relationship and they're not on the same page with parenting, it may cause some strain within the family if they're still in the same home, because children pick up on everything. We think they're not watching, we think they're not listening, but they're in tune with so much. So it would really depend on their relationship and what they're willing to kind of work on or kind of be aligned with within the home together.
At what age are kids really in tune or understanding what's happening in their lives?
Very young. Of course, if they're infants, they might not be in tune with what's going on as far as like, if there's conflict in the family, and things like that. But they feel like, we have energy, we have facial expressions and moods that we have. So we're all in tune with that. So I feel like children, even as young as maybe like 2 or something like that, they can tell when you're in a certain mood or something like that, might come give you a little hug.
Yeah.
So they may not be able to really understand, oh, mom is upset with dad, or, something like that, but just understanding the feelings and the behavior of their parents.
I've always wondered why people have these birthday parties for 1-year-olds.
They'll show them the pictures later. Look what I did for you when you were 1.
Is that good? Just a small plug. My birthday is Thursday. But anyway, just
his birthday's Thursday.
Yes, it's such an important day in my life. So tell us about the book. Tell us more about the book.
All right, so we'll start with the How to Train Your Parents. I wrote this in 2013 when I was going through my PhD program. And basically, working as a licensed behavior specialist, I felt like parents didn't really understand what I was doing. I was coming into the house, working with the family. I was going to the schools, working with the children, and nobody knew what I did. They're just like, oh, you're just here to babysit my kid. And I was like, no, that's not what I'm here for. We're here to change the dynamics of the behavior in the family system. So I wrote this book to make it very easy to understand and just put it in plain terms. Like, you don't have to go to school to understand what I wrote in this book. So it's just really giving that breakdown of, again, how behavior is learned, how it's maintained, and intervention that you can use if you have a child who is, engaging in some challenging behaviors. So it's just a guide, a parent's guide. So that's one book. And just staying on the parenting track, which we didn't mention, I have these cards, and they're called the Behavioral Wealth Cards. So it's a deck of cards, and each one has a prompt for parents. Let me get to the prompts because we have affirmations in here as well. But each card has a prompt, and it talks about how parents are engaging with children. So let me just pick, or themselves. This one is self-love, and it says, we often get so caught up in reaching goals that we forget to enjoy the process. Think of one thing that you have been working on, even if you have not finished it yet. How can you celebrate your progress so far? So that would be specifically for parents to think about how they're loving on themselves and, engaging in some of that self-care. Let's see another one. Just trying to pick randomly. All right, planning and preparing. Parenting does not come with a handbook or guide. Most times we're just doing what we think is best. Think of one parenting strategy that you would like to change, adjust, increase, or get rid of for good. So each of these have something that you can reflect on with your partner, co-parent, a friend, or you can just use it to journal about your parenting journey to get more clarity, to really reflect and focus on changing your behavior. And it also comes with affirmation cards. Off my website, Dr. Afif Speaks, DrAfifSpeaks.com. And lastly, this is my new book. I wrote this last year, Don't Call Me Superwoman. And this is for my women. Even if you have a teenager or something, I think the book would be good. But it talks about really pouring into myself and my journey and taking off that cape, being vulnerable, asking for help, taking time for me, and just getting rid of all the societal, judgments, just doing what feels good to me. I'm not hurting anybody. I'm not out here killing and stealing. But doing what feels good to me and not feeling judged by everybody.
Awesome. Do we have any questions?
Questions?
Yes, we capture it.
So being that we're living a generation now to where people don't want to be taught how to raise their child, don't tell my child what to do. I also feel like that there is no village anymore. And that's a problem. How did this information fare well with some of those people?
Well, two things. One, I always build a relationship with the families that I work with. I never come in like I'm the smartest person in the room or that I know everything. I never come in like, hey, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z with your family because you're not doing a good job. Never come in like that. So I really build a relationship, let them know what I'm coming to do, and I always tell my parents, you're the expert on your child, and I'm the expert in the behavioral, realm or whatever like that, and together we work as a team. So when I put it in that sense that we are a team and we're working together, I think that parents are a lot more open to working with me and, putting in the work that they need to within their families with their children as well.
Another question.
How would you deal with children who have lost their father?
Deal with them in a sense of helping them grieve.
Like grieving and their emotions, outbursts?
I would definitely leave the floor open for communication. That's going to be very important so that the child is able to talk about how they're feeling. I would do check-ins with them. Maybe even create, like if you have pictures or anything like that, create some kind of memory book or box or something like that they're able to reflect on, and let them know it's okay if they get upset. Let them know what the grieving process looks like and inform them and educate them so that they don't feel like, oh, I'm crying too much, or, mom or dad doesn't want to hear about, mom doesn't want to hear about this or something like that. So definitely communication, education, like I said, like a memory box or something like that. And I stand by therapy, support groups, anything like that, so that the child doesn't feel like they're alone in the process.
So question, how would you deal with a child that likes to talk during class or class time? So it sounds like, first, thank you for giving us the 4 functions of behavior. So it sounds like it's probably escape, right? But, school is school, so what do you replace it with? Because, as parents, we don't know, just stop it.
Yeah. Your child specifically? Okay. Talking in class, I would have a conversation with the teacher to see what's going on, because it could be escape, it could be attention, it could be that your child is struggling with whatever the subject is, and that's their way of kind of deflecting from doing the work. Maybe they just like to talk. Maybe they're going to be on TV one day, right? So sometimes when we have these behaviors, even though, the child is being disruptive to the class, if it's something that's just like a character trait, how can we look at it from a positive standpoint? Can we give your child some time in class to talk, to stand in front of the class and say something? Like, how can we foster that in a positive way as well? Like, we can look at it from that standpoint. But I think first, just trying to figure out specifically why your child is talking in class. Do you have an idea or no?
Probably just like to talk personality.
Okay. Yeah, so, continue to have those conversations of why it's important, not to talk in class, but I think that his or her teacher should also give her the opportunity to be able to speak at some point or do something, right? Because we're not robots, If you had to just sit quiet, for a long period of time, you'd probably be going crazy too. Like, well, I want to talk, I want to say something, I want to get up, I want to move, and we expect kids to do all of these things. But let's be realistic and incorporate some movement in class. Let's incorporate times where they can talk, talk to a partner or something like that. Maybe some suggestions you could make to the teacher and see if that helps.
I interview kids for admissions to an elite college, and I find that by the time they get in front of me, they're 17, each kid has a different development. Emotionally, intelligently, variety. When is a good time to start preparing our kids for maturity? And is there a way to prepare them to be mature early? I mean, am I making sense? I don't know.
I think I understand your question. We are all wired very differently, right? Based on our DNA, our parents, grandparents, whatever the case may be. But I think if you want to speak to like being responsible or problem solving, like all of those different things.
Yes, that.
Yes.
Critical thinking, all those things.
Yes, you can start that from a very young age. So even when you have little children who are using that toy where you have to put the shapes in the right one, that's using their critical thinking skills and their problem solving, because if they put the star in the triangle and they see it doesn't fit, then they're trying some other different things. So even from a young age, we are developing these skills with our children. So I don't think it's a specific age to say, well, let me start now or let me start at this point. It's something that's ongoing and you continue to challenge your child. So one way to do that is to give them some responsibility. So even if they're like 2 or 3, maybe their responsibility is picking up toys, and you can show them, pick your toy up, put it in the bin. Something small, but it's just showing them responsibility. You took the toys out, you're going to put them back. As they get older, cleaning room, doing the dishes, maybe handling money if they get an allowance or something like that. So it's little things that you can do over time to help them build those skills and responsibility and problem solving and all of that.
Excellent, excellent. Any other questions out there before we bring it to our last statements? All right, well, give us your last statement. What do you want us to leave with today?
I wrote all these things down. I don't know if I talked about all these things, but let me see. Because I was on a roll when I was getting to the end. So let me see. I think I touched on everything. Yeah. I guess my last statement would be to be gentle with yourselves and be gentle with your children. Give yourself grace and give them grace as well. You're not going to do everything right. They're not going to do everything right, and that's fine. It's a journey. You're both learning together. So just don't be so hard on yourself.
Awesome. Let's give her a hand. Give Dr. Afif a hand. She launches into our first Charlotte conversation. It's amazing. Next week, we have an expert on housing. The question is, we're going to talk about how to purchase a home in Charlotte. What's the secrets to doing so in this economy? You know you can. Today, when you drive around the city, you see a house for sale signs, and I see more under contract signs than anything. So people are buying homes, and there has to be a strategy about it. We here at TheElm focus on 4 areas of empowerment. We want to empower your faith, empower your families, empower your fellowship, and empower your finances. So we want to meet you at your needs so that you can live a empowered life. But I'm living a miraculous life now. I'm on a miraculous life living now. So we want to thank you for coming out. Come back again next week, Sunday, for the housing. And after that, we have people talking about mental health and social skills and resources. We have that coming up. And then after that, we have something else I can't think of, but it's going to be good. What's that? Cryptocurrency. So we have a person who's an expert in cryptocurrency, travels around the world teaching about cryptocurrency, going to come and share. If you have any topics that you're interested in, please let us know. I'm a college professor, so former college professor. So I love having conversations, intellectual discourse and conversations continuously. So this is part of that hunger for me to stimulate my mind continuously. It's challenged me to be a better person. Hope it challenges you. Hope we helped you out today. Hope we answered some of your questions that you had as well. All right? So this is Pastor Barrett. This is Dr. Afif.
Thank you.
Yes. I'm gonna edit this out. But your hair is banging on the right there. Can you guys see it right there? You see it? It's like it's popping, girl. It's popping.
It's popping. It's popping.
You will edit that. So we're coming close. So thank you for joining us here at the Elm. This is Pastor Barrett. Come and join us every Sunday at 11 o'clock. Go to our website to watch us, TheElm.Church, and catch it right there on our website or on our social media, on Instagram and also on Facebook. 11 a.m. every Sunday. We're bringing it to you right into your home, into your cars, into your wallets. No, not your wallets, but into your phones. All right? Always remember this. We love you, we love you, we love you. And there's absolutely nothing you can do about it. God bless.